Welcome back to Pure Accelerate 2026. We're streaming live in Las Vegas. I'm Alison, joined alongside by Christophe, Bertrand, and we're about to dig into the enterprise data cloud, the blueprint, and the path.
Yes, 10 areas of best practices, I would say. 3 big dimensions around agility, around cyber resilience, around scalability. I think it's going to be an interesting one.
All right, let's bring in our guest, Stephanie Richardson. She's the Vice President of Product Marketing at Everpure. Welcome to theCUBE.
Thank you for having me.
You know, every speaker today has kind of diagnosed the same problem. Fragmented data, reactive portfolios, infrastructure complexity. You're the one that gets to close the loop today. How about that pressure?
There we go.
What is the EDC Success Blueprint? Why is it a structured framework? And why is a structured framework the answer rather than just better technology?
Yeah, I mean, before I jump into the blueprint specifically, I think it's really important to understand that to really succeed and to really succeed in the world of AI and to really get past this fragmented data and this siloed data, it really requires a completely new operating model, right? And that's what we've been talking about with the enterprise data cloud, right? It's how do you have a unified, governed, autonomous, and intelligent system for your data so you can really manage it holistically. And sure, implementing that technology is part of the solution, but it's not the only thing because it really requires you to really refactor your environment and really start with a fundamentally different data strategy and a fundamentally different approach to your technology. So what Blueprint is about is really helping customers to take a step back, think about what they're trying to do with AI, think about where they're trying to go with their data strategy, and not only throw a new tool or a new array or a new technology at the problem, but really rethink and then map out that journey across technology, across processes, across people, across tools of the different things you need to implement to really achieve this kind of desired outcome of really this unified data environment.
So yeah, we should double click on the various dimensions because you have essentially 10 big areas that you look at.
Yep.
Which are, I mean, each of them is probably a whole story.
Yes, it is, absolutely.
One of them is cyber resilience, we have sustainable outcomes, compliance, continuous compliance, and of course a lot of these are enabled or will be enabled by some of the innovations we heard about today. Obviously data intelligence comes to mind for a couple of them, but there are a number of other capabilities that have been already made available a few years ago, have been built upon, but it's changing because of AI.
Yeah.
So could you walk us through the blueprint? But tell us first, what is it? Is it a white paper? Is it a workshop? Is it all of that?
Great question, it is all of that. So there's really kind of 3 core pieces that bring the whole blueprint together to really help our customers do it in a variety of different ways. So first off, we have the blueprint assessment. So what that does is through a handful of simple questions for the customer, they start to really get a sense for where they're at today, right? Because everybody's journey is going to be a little bit different because everyone's starting from a different spot, right? And from when it comes to maturity of their environment. So we start with the blueprint assessment. It tells customers where they're at, where their weaknesses are, and where maybe they want to start to focus. Then we have the blueprint guides, and essentially this is a white paper, it's documentation, so customers can really have a look at it, and this will really unpack, all right, if you're starting out at this point in your operations, these are the things that you need to do to mature, and then to continue to mature and to continue to mature. So really prescriptive and helpful around, again, not only activating new technologies, like Fusion or using kind of workload rebalancing or things like that, but also what are some processes you can put in place in your org to do so?
Let me double click on a couple of things.
Yeah.
So it seems to be halfway between a maturity model in a sense, but also it's an assessment. So I would imagine there's consulting potentially involved, and it's probably something that a partner can deploy as part of the, I would say, a consistent methodology to help customers. Is that fair to say?
I mean, you summed it up perfectly, honestly. Is where we've started with this is, hey, based on what we've seen in the market, based on the journey that we've seen with our customers, we've extracted our best practices to say, hey, this is really the best way to go about it. But again, everyone's journey is going to be a little bit different. So we start with an assessment, and then we do have these self-service guides that people can use, but we also have, you mentioned it earlier, we also have workshops where we'll sit down with the customer and with our partners as well to say, all right, what's really going on? What's a priority to you? What are some of your vulnerable areas? And then how do we chart a path forward for you so you can really kind of achieve, again, this vision of the enterprise data cloud?
Give us something concrete. Pick any enterprise that moved a maturity level. What became possible that wasn't before, and what did that actually mean for the business?
No, that's a great question. So, I mean, I think first, before I get into that, it's worth noting, you know, you don't have to boil the ocean on day one, right? As you mentioned, it is a maturity model, and you're going to see value along all steps of that maturity, right? You don't have to go from 0 to 10 overnight, because that's not practical, that's not easy to do. So, so for example, if we take something like operational efficiency, right? That is something that is a really, really core kind of upside to really moving to this enterprise data cloud environment. So on the lower maturity levels, everything might be, you know, nothing's really automated. Everything's manual. A lot of our customers live in this world today, right, where they have teams that are doing the provisioning, doing the, you know, doing all of this in a manual state. As you move up that maturity curve, you might start to see where some of these routine tasks are getting automated, excuse me. So, you know, what your team used to do every Tuesday for the last 10 years, that's going to be automated, that's going to be covered. As you move up that maturity curve, you'll then shift to, not only is it getting automated, but it might be getting optimized for you. So your workloads are automatically getting rebalanced based on policies that you've already set. Right. It's already kind of self-optimizing or really kind of managing that performance for you. And then obviously at the tippy top of the maturity curve, you'll end up with an autonomous system that is really just almost running itself based on SLAs and policies that you've preset. So that gives you kind of an example of, again, if you're going from everything's being done manually to through that automation, really all the way to, again, creating this autonomous environment, every step of the way you're going to see value.
So let me ask you, is there a better place to start? Is it cyber resilience? Is it AI sustainability? I mean, or does it matter?
You know, it kind of all depends on the organization, on where you're at, and on your priorities, right? So I think that most of the conversations that we have with customers, they're going to come in with a specific workload that they're challenged with. They're going to come in with a specific environment that's not working the way that they want it to. And again, through the assessment, we'll be able to suss out, okay, what is really your hot button? And then we can start there and really work with across the board. So it's going to vary, and I don't think there's a bad starting point. Every starting point's a good starting point, but ultimately, all the paths will lead you to, again, that state of this autonomous, unified, intelligent environment that we're working on.
You know, every company may say that they have a data strategy. I'm curious what your thoughts are about what the difference is between having a data strategy and having an enterprise data cloud strategy.
Yeah, you know, I think that, I will say that every organization probably that's had a data strategy, it's been a little bit flipped on its head with AI, right? It's just causing everybody to rethink about how they're doing things, because the scale is one that we've never seen before, the speed at which it's operating is one that we've never seen before. So I would say that really the enterprise data cloud is an operating model, or it's an architectural guide of, in order to really kind of handle the demands of AI, to handle the demands of kind of a modern organization, you need a different architectural approach. It's not siloed, it's not application-centric, it really is data first. Data primacy is the word that Charlie uses a lot, which you've probably heard a couple times today. So how do we, the enterprise data cloud, again, is really an architectural approach that solves for that model, but every organization will still need a data strategy as they come to the table to really start designing an environment and an enterprise data cloud that is really designed for their needs.
Yeah.
So is it really necessary for a customer to go through the whole assessment, or can they actually just get started, try to nail one thing, get it right, get cyber resiliency right maybe, and then move on to resource utilization? Or is it a more balanced, overarching approach? Obviously, if consulting is involved, there will be resources that are needed, there may be some skill set questions that come into play. What have you seen so far?
Yeah, I think that I would say yes to everything that you just said, in the sense of, I do think that, again, there's competing tensions going on right now, right? Because organizations are asked to move very, very, very quickly to solve their AI challenges very, very quickly and deliver on the business very, very quickly. And they're being asked to think about this in a whole new way and refactor everything and flip everything on its head. So I think what we're seeing for a lot of organizations is, hey, let's dive in, again, let's look at where you're at, and then how do we find that balance of, we've got to move quickly, but we also have to build agility into the system as we continue to lay out something that is an architecture, is an environment that you're going to be able to rely on in the future. Because what you don't want to do is, make any decisions that you're going to have to refactor again in a couple of years.
Okay, so Everpure executives, they've been laying out the problem all day.
Yeah.
What would you tell a CIO to do next week?
Yeah, I would say, look, I think that there's urgency to get this conversation going. And I think that the best way that you can start, candidly, is book a blueprint workshop with your team. And that's not about, it's not about initiating a project or putting the plan together right away or starting a purchase order. Like, that's not what the workshop is about. The workshop is really about, bring your team together with our experts, have a discussion about what your data strategy should be, how you want to get there, get your team aligned on what is the vision of what we're trying to build. And that's often the hardest part, right? So once you get that conversation going, then we can put a plan together on how you can get there, but it's something you'll feel good about executing on.
So the workshop is a little bit of a group therapy, right?
A little bit, a little bit.
Well, it's probably needed in many cases. Obviously, there's so much going on, to your point, and I'm wondering if the right name for this wouldn't be the Enterprise Intelligent Data Cloud.
There we go. There we go. You should be on our naming team.
There you go.
I wouldn't do that. But you never know, maybe.
You never know.
So well, let's talk about that. I mean, obviously the one-touch acquisition, the intelligent data component is super critical to this.
It absolutely is.
So what do you see moving forward, let's say 2-3 years from now? Do we still have a blueprint? Has it evolved? Do you have measured results from across all industries with maybe even a classification of successful businesses and scores? What does that look like?
Absolutely. So to your first question, absolutely, the blueprint's going to evolve. Every time we learn something new, every time we release new capabilities or new technology like Everpure Data Intelligence or like advancements to Fusion, we're going to continue to evolve that blueprint to really incorporate those technologies. Also, the more we learn from our customers and the more those best practices kind of come to light, we're going to evolve it. So it will be a living and growing blueprint, absolutely. I think as far as where we're going, we've actually put, as part of the blueprint, a little bit behind the scenes. We have very specific business metrics that we are trying to help our customers achieve. So across all of those capabilities that you see around the outside of the blueprint, we have business outcome that is attached to it, because that really helps customers see, all right, if I do X, Y, Z, I'm going to achieve this in efficiency. I'm going to achieve this in power reduction. I'm going to achieve this in, kind of reduced audit times or things like that. So we're really tracking those capabilities and working with our customers to prove their outcomes as we go.
Are you actually solving this question of the AI ROI?
We're working on it. There's so many things that go into that answer. But I think this is a really big piece of it.
If an executive team only remembers one thing from this conference, what should it be?
Is that this is a moment. I mean, I'm sure, again, you guys have heard this all day. We have to think about it differently. Data has to be at the center of it all, and we really have to be bold in how we go about thinking about our data environments and our data strategies so that we can really, really succeed across the board. So, the Enterprise Data Cloud really is the architecture that is going to help you succeed in that. So, remember that, remember to be bold, remember to go for it, and, remember that we can partner with you along the way.
My last question will be really around personas. Question I've asked multiple people, and I'm getting consistent answers. Obviously, there's a change
There is
going
a
on.
change.
It's not just the storage or the infrastructure folks anymore.
Yep.
So in product marketing, obviously, I have a little background in the topic.
Yep.
It's fundamental.
Yeah.
It looks like we have data people.
Yep.
We still have infrastructure people, CIO, for lack of a better term, and then we have CISOs, because that's not going away. Cyber
Yep.
resilience is critical. And of course, we may have a number of line of business or people who actually run the business because of AI outcomes,
Yeah.
fundamentally changing business processes. So how difficult do you think it will be to really go market and sell this in the actual organizations you work with through this blueprint? Or is it the mechanism, actually, to get those people together?
You know, I think you hit the nail right on the head, and that's what we've been seeing, is that having this conversation, broadening this conversation to the blueprint level, all those people all of a sudden are willing to come to the table and are seeing that, hey, we all have a play in this, we all have a role. And it's allowing us to bring CISOs together with infrastructure leaders, with the data people, because they're all aligning around, again, that data conversation. It's not a storage conversation, it's not a data prep conversation, it's a data strategy conversation. So it really is, this gives us the mechanism to really kind of bring that conversation together.
Such a great conversation. Thanks so much for stopping by theCUBE.
Of course, thanks so much
you.
for having me.
And you've been watching theCUBE, the leader in live tech coverage and in-depth tech analysis. We'll be right back.